Howdy, howdy. Happy Wednesday. How's it going? We're going to do a multimedia, mixed media stream this week. We are playing with the Twilio APIs, and we are going to be doing some text message interactivity stuff where you can send a text message to a phone number and it will show up in a glitch app, and the glitch app can reply to that text message. I've played with Twilio in the past, but never on stream, and just started experimenting with using it in glitch. So I think this is going to be a lot of fun, and we shan't tarry too long. Why Twilio this week? Glitch is actually present at the Twilio Signal conference. In fact, I believe if you are at that conference, you should not be watching me. You should be checking out an interview with Mindy Kaling, conducted by our CEO, Anil Dash, which is happening live, and they're taking questions via text message, which is really cool. So I was inspired, actually, by this app, which was built for the event in question. You can see that they are actually taking questions for the interview live via text message using Twilio, where you can text that phone number and it's actually going to go into the question queue for the conversation. Hopefully we can all see a video of that conversation later, but if you're there, you should check it out live. So I was like, okay, what can we do with the ability to send text messages and receive text messages in a glitch app? And first, I want to just make sure we can get those messages at all. And once we figure out that we're getting them and we know how to reply, then we can build something neat on top of it. Maybe we can do a little chat bot or whatever. If you have ideas for the sorts of things we could do, comment on the stream chat, and we will. I will incorporate those ideas into the project. Pending some things, I will try to incorporate your ideas into the project. So without any further ado, let us get started with a new project. So I'm going to make a new Express project. We're going to need a server to receive messages from Twilio about whether or not we've received a text message, sort of use their webhook functionality. So we spun the Fringe Hearing. Fringe Hearing is the name of today's project, and I will throw that into the chat. You can click that link and follow along live. You can actually be in the code with me and check it out. Or you can visit the project or just keep watching the stream. I'm going to throw it into stream chat as well. So let me grab the URL of the project page and add it to the stream description. Okay, so with that, we have our project picked out. And I'm going to make a quick note to myself what the heck this does. It's going to be let Twilio or get texts from Twilio and do fun things. Cool. Okay, at some point in the stream, I'm going to be providing a phone number to you, and you can actually send messages to that phone number, and we'll play around. I'm going to do that when I am ready. I don't want people spamming my cell quite yet. Don't blow up a phone. But that is okay. We are going to build things out. I'm going to do some tests locally, and I'm going to open it up to y'all in the chat and anyone watching later to try out the chatbot. Okay, we're working with Twilio, so I'm going to grab us the Twilio library. It's going to be a pretty simple application, actually, mostly using the Twilio library and basic node things, I think, and we'll go through and figure out what else we want to do as we go. But and the next thing we're going to need is to go get some information from the Twilio API and punch that in to our code. So let's take a look at the Twilio docs. Let's try the API reference. And we are playing with SMS today on the web. So let me click those things. Aha! Yes, it'll look something like that, in fact. So how to receive and reply to SMS messages. Here we go. There's going to be some code. We are in Node.js land. And hey, look, they've got a code sample for me here. Specifically, this stuff is what I want, which is the ability to receive a message from Twilio when I get a text and do something with that. So let's go into our project and take a look at our server. It's a very basic thing. We're just going to clean this up a little bit. Don't need a whole lot. Let's keep these things and let's add our Twilio stuff. So let's move Twilio up here. We don't need two apps. I'm fairly certain. And we have a message that's replying. Okay, so this is our... I'm going to actually change it to be hooks SMS. So this is our webhook, which means Twilio is taking care of all the magic for us. If I text the phone number in question, then it is going to actually... Twilio's service is going to receive that text message, turn it into a bunch of data, and hit this actual URL and call this URL. And if that happens, we can actually, we will log, and it will take a look at what the body of that message is. Because we know that there's going to be a body, we need a body parser for our project. So let's see if they have an example body parser in one of their samples. Here we are. I just happened to, once again, happened to know that that was going to be in there. But we need a body parser. And the reason we need a body parser is our requests, are the posts coming into our webhook are going to be... Actually, I believe we don't need to do this anymore. I think body parser is actually built into Express. So let's, before I go a whole lot further, let's take a look at that. But we need a body parser because we're receiving the post contains a body. But we don't know if that's JSON, if that's XML, we don't know, but we need to be able to take that body and parse it and turn it into data that we can access from within Express. And I believe Modern Express has a built-in, which is cool, has a built-in mechanism for that. It used to be you called in a package called body parser, and I believe it's now a default thing. So let's take a look at application, no Express. Sure enough, there's Express JSON right here. And this parses incoming requests with JSON payloads and is based on part of body parser. So they took body parser and integrated it into Express, which I think is super useful. And we also have URL encoded. And it looked like in their example, they were using the URL encoded body parser. So we are going to do the same. So in their code, they have body parser.url encoded, but I believe we're just going to change that to be Express URL encoded. It's actually a pretty simple drop-in. And it's nice that Express included this, in my opinion. We'll paste their thing. Oh, I already had that line. We'll paste their thing and we'll change it to Express. And that is going to allow us to take form posts and turn them into body, which means when we say what the request.body of this is, it's going to be an object as opposed to a string. So it's a helper that takes care of parsing the post body. So what does this post body look like? Let's find out, shall we? I'm going to very quickly pull up the Twilio console. There may be some secrets there that I don't want on the public internet on a stream. So give me one moment while I put up my privacy shield and take a look. Cool. So let me show you what's going on here, actually. I think it's worth seeing since there's nothing sensitive here other than a previous app's URL here. But I have this phone number that I've picked out from Twilio, and when I message it, it can do things. If I call it, it can actually call a webhook. But I'm not worried about phone calls. I'm worried about SMS messages down here. And so I can go down here and say, when a message comes in, contact a URL. Right now, we have a previous app's URL here when I was doing some experimentation before the stream. But we're going to do Fringe Hearing, which is the name of our app. And the URL, I believe it's hooks SMS. Let me take a look. And so if I hit save, now when I text this phone number, it's actually going to call this URL. And we can check that because we have the logs open here and we're logging the request body. So I'm going to pick up my phone right here and I'm going to attempt to text this phone number. And we'll see if you can see, we see the message in the on the side here. So hello Twitch. Aha, and take a look at that. So I've texted hello Twitch. The message actually came in and it has actually coming from my phone. So I think that's pretty cool. And now, well, we're no longer logging that, but let's say, what if we said console.log? It looked like it was rec.body.body, I believe is the field. And if I log, now if I message hello Twitch, you can see it, in fact, is logging this. And another thing you can't see because you are not using my phone, but you can actually, I'm sending a response. In fact, I'm receiving this response right here. Twilio message, the robots are coming, head for the hills, which is done by creating a messaging response and sending it back. So if you whenever the server responds to a webhook request, it immediately turns around and goes back out. I think that's kind of cool. I have an idea for a quick thing we can build. I think, like I said, super quick. We're going to experiment with making a text message interactive thing. So I'm going to do this, I think, somewhat an easy way. I'm going to let it so folks in chat can actually text a phone number and mess with a thing on the screen in a structured way. So I'm going to say, I'm going to make a list. Let's do an interactive gradient. I think that'd be a cool idea. So we're going to say interactive gradient, and we're going to make an array. And on the front end, we'll actually turn whatever colors people have texted into this into a gradient on the page. Let's do an example. Be red, blue. So that's, I guess that should be in strings. So red and blue is the starting thing. And let's do app.get colors. And we're going to, and this will be just immediately respond with a JSON object of the colors that we have sent. And then we can go to our views and we can take a look at what this will look like. So we're going to get a list of colors. We have this existing default code, which I can ignore. We are going to periodically have a function called update, which is going to get the colors from the server and re-render the page's background with this new gradient. So it's going to do fetch colors. I'm going to take that response and do parse it as JSON, and then we'll have an object called colors. We can do something with it. And in this case, what we want to do is we want to make a string of those colors. Actually, it's an array already, so we can join them. So let's say let color list, or actually, let's do this all at once. Let gradient equals, let's do a backtick string here. It's going to be linear gradient, and the linear gradient is going to be to the right. Let's go from left to right. And then it's going to be all of the colors we've sent. So I'm just going to say colors dot, or maybe even, colors dot join with a comma there. So that's actually a valid CSS linear gradient. And so we can then say document.body.style.background image equals gradient. And then we'll obviously need to call update, and maybe actually call update repeatedly, but we're going to start by calling update just once and seeing what we get. Hideous. I love it. It's a blue to red gradient, but it totally works. And then I'm going to clear most of this content out because it's old content from the example. And actually I'm going to, what we have here right now is so far so good. What I now want to do is I want to get a list, I want to take user input and I want to validate that user input. Not that I don't trust y'all, but I want to make it so valid CSS colors can get added to this list. In the server, right now we have just red and blue. I'm going to start that off, leave it alone for now, and we'll say, so we know what the message of the body of the message is. Right now it's body. So we can say, let's start with hex colors. I think that'll be easy. So let's say if, or let color equals rec.body.body. If, and then I believe it's, when you do a regular expression, I always forget the order here. I think it's our regular expression, then .test. So we want to check for our valid hex colors, which are going to be a pound sign followed by A through F, or capital A through capital F, and then 0 through 9. And then that's going to be, is there 6 of those, right? So it's a valid hex color. Let's do 6 to start. That was all regex speak for a hex color. And if that exists, let's say colors dot push color. So let's make sure that's the entire body of the message too. So you will text just a color like that. So that's a regex. Let's test that that is a good regex. And what I mean by that is that it's a valid, that is actually the correct regular expression. We'll just test it right in the console here. And we can just pass a string to it instead. So, right, is this a valid? Okay, so, oh, I forgot my opening slash. Great, true. Let's remove an F. It should say false. It did. Let's say 1, 2, A, capital F, E3. That's real. Let's put a G in here. And that's false. Okay, so this is getting real colors. Fantastic. That means we can then add them to our color array. Okay, so if this is, and then I'm going to do one more thing, which is every once in a while, let's say if it succeeds, if we successfully get it, well, we're going to check again in 5 seconds for another list of colors. And then we'll call update once when the page loads. Update. Okay, so now we're running the test. I'm going to attempt to text a color to this app. And let's make it cyan. So that will be 00FFFF. If this works, I'm going to post the number, and you can all take a look at that. I don't know if you can see that, but now there's cyan at the edge. Let me add green to it. So it's going to be 00FF00. That might be more noticeable, but I'm going to text green, and ta-da, look at that. We're building a rainbow together. So I'm going to update the response from the server so you can actually see the response. So I'm going to send the message of the app. It's going to be taste collaborative rainbow, and then the URL of the app. Obviously, when the server resets, the radiant's going to reset. We're not storing it anywhere. I could store it to a file. I may even do that. But for now, we're just going to quick send one more message to this. I'm going to add green again. For the record, this all costs money because these are real text messages. So just a heads up that if you're sending text messages to this app or you're building an app that uses text messages, that costs money. It costs cents, less than a cent per message. But I put some money into this account so we could play around today. And I received a reply. And when I take a look at my reply, sure enough, the app appears. And you can actually see. So I'm sending people in, which I think is, joining people to join. Let's put some instructions onto this app real quick. Collaborative rainbow. And let's put a P. Text a valid hex color to, and now we're going to put the phone number in. It's time for the phone number. So I'm going to be unleashing this to the world here. To +1 22. I'm even saying it out loud. 224 427. Actually, I'll show you why this number is awesome. It is in fact 224 42 Potch to add it to the and this is not a free text message, so we're going to just add some fine print here. Okay, and we're going to update the colors on this page. We're going to update the text color to be, we're going to say text shadow 0.5 EM. Just put a little shadow on it so the text is like more readable. Cool, great. And then let's take our A's and make them also lighter. So I'm gonna say A. All right. So what this page says is correct. Text to valid hex color 2 + 1 224 42 Potch, and add it to the page's gradient. Standard rates do apply. So let's play along. If you want right now, you could text a phone number. And then one last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write this to a file so we can play around. So right now, but let's post this. Let's share this with the world. I think this is a fun and silly. And I guess we could allow 3-digit hex colors. People are going to be upset if I only allow 6-digit hex colors. So they might get confused or mad. And then actually, let's make the message, let's only send this message if it succeeds. Let's move this up. Let's take this message out. So what we're doing is only if the message actually goes through, only if you successfully added a color do we want to join. Otherwise, we're going to say that wasn't a valid color. Please try again. And I'm using an apostrophe there, so let's switch this to double quotes. And let's, we don't need, I have a random just URL laying here. Oh, from the previous thing. Okay, so if the color is valid, we add it, otherwise it's not. And right now, every time the server restarts, we lose the gradient, which is sort of a bummer. We'll address that in a minute. But I want to see if people will come play. Let's start with just red. So let's grab the URL for this and let's throw this on the internet and see what happens. Ooh, people are sending messages. Who are you nice people who are texting colors in here? All right. So it is working. Obviously, at some point, this gradient's going to get real busy if enough people text. Cool. Oh, Elm Orchard, hi. Nice to see you. So, yeah, we've got this collaborative rainbow we're building here. And obviously, this is neat. We're letting people, if too many people add a color, it's going to get really busy. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. We can always do a rolling list. But if I restart this server, we're losing everyone's messages. That kind of stinks. So I'm going to just use a file to track what's going on here. So apologies in advance that we're going to lose the rainbow temporarily. But it's so we can keep it forever. So we're going to add a file to this project that stores the color. So let's make, sorry, we're going to lose the current gradient. My apologies. People are going to be salty if they follow the tweet and they lose their stuff. That's okay. Just for a second, we're going to have a function called add color. Let's temporarily disable auto reload. Can I do that? No, that's okay. Just let it go. This is actually going to be fs.read file sync data / try. So it's actually let colors. Then we need to try loading colors from a file, and if it fails, we can see if the file exists first, but this works just as well. Getting Pythonic here. To string. When I say get Pythonic, I mean Python has this concept of it's easier to ask forgiveness than permission. And what I mean by that is do something and then handle the error. Don't check before you do something. It's sort of it's a Pythonism, maybe is the best way to phrase it. But it's a Pythonism to sort of, ask questions later, you might say. And ask for forgiveness instead of permission, as they say. I'm gonna. Okay, so that's gonna load from a file. If it's not, colors is red. I probably have errors in my logs, but let's take a look. So the page should be red if this code was working. Interestingly, it's white, which suggests something else is afoot. That my gradient is in fact invalid. Oh, here we go. It's running again. Okay, so we can say, people are texting nice colors into my gradient. That's fun. But I want to quick do the rest of this. We're so close. I just want to do the rest of it so then we don't have to worry about losing people's colors anymore. So it's going to be colors.push, color, and then fs dot. And we're going to be just lazy and do a right instead of a. And I believe, what's the, is it colors? Hopefully I didn't get that backward. I look up the file system stuff all the time, so it's file then data. Cool, that's what I was hoping. And we'll know this because I will, and I have to actually call add colors. So this will be, I know, hopefully I just wasted a bunch of people's text messages and I feel bad about that. But I think we're good from here. I can check to see if we are in fact getting the file that I want. There's a hidden directory in glitch called .data, and it's being written to. So you can see that I was using CSS colors here. I like CSS named colors. I find them very satisfying. Peach, lemon chiffon, and papaya whip. I want to support those. So now that we're saving people's settings, right? If I restart the server, it's going to reload with the same data. Yep, cool. We're no longer losing people's data. That's, I think, a nice, respectful thing to do. We can now get a list of all the CSS colors. And I'm just going to grab that from MDN, I think. I'd love to support any valid CSS color. But right now, let's start. Listen, I want all of these. I believe they might actually just be in the spec. So if they're in the spec, it's just a list. We're gonna do that. So let's take a look at we're gonna look at a spec today. Named colors. Here we are. There should just be a big old list, and sure enough, there is. We can do a little bit. We'll do a little bit of string bashing to get the actual colors out of here. Because we just need the names of the colors. We don't need all the other metadata here. I'm going to fire up VS Code for a second and do a little bit of string bashing, as I like to call it. Your text editor is always useful for this. So let's just do this instead. Okay, where were we? Put it into reader mode, so there's no JavaScript running on the page. There we are. That looks much better. You can see that there's a bunch of tabs in the beginning of this, and there's a bunch of extra color data that we don't need. We bump up the font size so y'all can see what I'm working with here. Don't need my open editors. You can see, obviously, I had another project open. But let's clean up this list. Let's do a little bit of... we're going to do a find and replace. We're going to find anything that's... So a line is some amount of space, and then a lowercase string, and then a bunch of crap, and a new line. So it's actually not a new line, plus. Cool. This is cool. This is a good trick. You should always learn this. So I'm now matching all these various lines, and I can just replace them with the single grouped token. So I have A to Z plus. And if this works, it did work, but I need some new lines. So put some new lines in there. Cool. Actually, what I'd really like, yeah, this should work. So now we have a list of all the CSS named colors. We'll just put this away for the moment. We can go back to our editor, make a file called css colors.txt, and paste everything in. We'll remove the blank line, just spare me a little bit of parsing. And now we can load the list of named colors. So I can say app.getColors. So we're reading these from a file. We also want let named colors, and we're just going to load those directly. I expect this file to be here. And that is T toString UTF-8 and split on the new line, and then we'll have a list. Actually, that can even be a const, right? We're just loading this once. I'm going to make this bold just because I feel like it. Sometimes I have a lark. I'll take out the footer. Let's really let the color shine. This page is real ugly, and I love it. I love it deeply. Ooh, someone added blue. Thanks for adding blue. Look at that banding. Equal luminosity curves. We've played with those on previous stream. Okay, so we now have a list of named colors, and now we can check to see if, so this if is now getting a little wordy, but it's going to be if it's one of these two things, or, and I believe it's, there's a modern way to do a string lookup. I don't know what it is off the top of my head. So we're just going to do CSS colors, named colors, sorry. These are all CSS colors. Named colors dot index of color dot to lowercase, and it's greater than -1, meaning it's found. There's a thing I think it's called contains is the modern version of it. But if that worked, I should now be able to text a CSS color. So let's text papaya whip, which I just happen to know is a valid CSS color. And if that ran, and it did, and now papaya whip is on my gradient. Oh, and now we're getting all the good stuff. Peach puff. Ooh, I should trim the inbound message just in case there's some extra white space since I just got burnt by that. That's fine. We'll do that. And really, I could even extract the first thing and just in case there's a bit of extra white space, but I think this is all good. And now our gradient's getting awesome. And it's hanging on to everything, which I think is really cool. Let's do another fun thing. Right now, it's a horizontal gradient, but what if you're on your phone, right? You're on your phone. It kind of stinks when your phone is vertical. So, the two of us said Alice Blue at the same time. That's really fun. Someone's really spamming the red. So, obviously this is working, but let's make it vertical now. I feel like we're in a good spot. I want to make it so if the page is wider than it is, or taller than it is wide, it's a vertical gradient, as opposed to always doing the same thing. Just think that's a polite thing to do. So let's see. How do you evaluate? There's a way. So we'll do that with a media query, or I could just or no, I don't have to use a media query. I can actually. I have JavaScript running already. So we can say, I'm going to do this people seem to be having fun with this, so I'm going to do this in a comment so it doesn't interrupt people's enjoyment. Okay, so it's going to be let direction equals to right if window dot inner width is less than window dot inner height. So we're just going to do a really, really simple one-to-one aspect ratio check. We can say direction equals to bottom, and then we'll need to sub that in. So that's going to be So you can see this is roughly square. If I go a little narrower, next time it updates, it's vertical. Ooh, and it's repeating. Interesting. We have another wrinkle to play with. So it's repeating right now, which I don't want. And that is because... I think that's because HTML body should be height 100 VH. Which of course makes... Maybe I don't want to do body. Maybe I just want HTML to be height 100 VH. Will that work? That does. Okay. So that just locks our aspect ratio. I can also do padding. Come on. Padding 2EM. And do both of these things. Have both of them be the same height. And then say overflow hidden. There. So now it updates occasionally. It updates every 5 seconds, but if I make it wider than it is tall, it becomes a horizontal gradient. And I can send an orange. And it adds it to the gradient. Cool. That's really silly, but I'm really happy with it. It's a collaborative gradient. And make a rainbow. Also, I now have a phone number for antics. Could we do more things? Let's see. We are at the hour mark, and I'm happy with this, but what else can we do? I added some darkness to it. Okay, so we now have the ability. What if we wanted to have a conversation instead of a... Yeah, what if we wanted to have a conversation? So this phone number exists to build a collaborative gradient. I don't know if that's the best use of, like I said, the best use of this service, but it's been a lot of fun. KSAV, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate it. What else can we do, right? That's a good question. What else can we do? Right now, I'm just sending the same text back every time, but we can actually make a chat bot, right? Like, Twilio ultimately exists to be a messaging thing. Maybe let's add another... Maybe we can add another messaging endpoint? I don't know. Let's take a look. I don't know what else Twilio's got. Well, we're going to do a little bit of chat. Let's take a look at what else Twilio's got to offer here. Another fun thing to do would be add this to Twitch chat or Twilio chat or some other chat service where you can also add colors to the rainbow that way. But I like that this is an SMS demo. Maybe we can just document this up. Let's just document this bad boy up, shall we? Let me figure out how much it's going to cost me to let this just run in perpetuity. We're going to do a little documentation. Let me know if you have any questions in the chat about what we've built. I'm going to spend a moment just writing up a little README for this, because I think that's where we are. I think we've actually built the thing successfully in an hour. It's pretty cool. So I'm going to do a little bit of documentation for a second. Ask questions in chat if you are curious about what's going on. Yeah, let's do this.